It is an historic day. Gold has now hit 4K, and of course, Bitcoin could be right on its heels for an all-time high. We'll break it down for you. First, before we do that, I want to kind of give you guys a heads up here. We are now on the White House website, and we have the 24 o'clock going there. So it looks as though we are going to continue to see this shutdown play into where the markets are going, even though I think a lot of people are still in a position where the markets are not caring about this shutdown. However, this may change as it gets a little bit further into it. If you look at the amount of data that is not being reported, this is a very intriguing component here, because what we've missed in terms of releases so far, weekly jobless claims, that's out. The employment report by the BLS, that's gone. International trades and goods, that's gone, the BEA. And next, we're going to be looking at CPI data that won't be reported, and also the PPI data. So those have been pretty critical in terms of how the Fed gathers information and makes their final decision for the FOMC. Remember, the FOMC meeting is the end of this month. So this may slow things down, and does Powell maybe reconsider their position just to be able to deal with this? And it's getting pretty radical, because even if you look at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, this is the kind of statement that's going out there. First of all, I don't necessarily agree with this. I think you have to be a little bit more tactful in being able to understand and bridge the gap between these two, these two parties, at least getting to the next phase of getting this done over time, because at some point this will start to affect the market. I think the question is when that point is. And one thing that can be affected here is continued pressure on the economy. One of them is around the whole soybean industry. I know this, you guys will understand what I'm talking about, but let me go to SOT 1. This will explain more.
When we had USAID, we provided 40% of the humanitarian food for the world. So we abandoned that deal, and China accelerates theirs. So now I've got a tariff war that's killing my market. We produce 40% more than we can consume, because agriculture's got us in this model where we have to overproduce to pay out. So it's all about yield now. So I have to have a market abroad. Otherwise, what are we going to do with the other 40%?
Do you think your message is being heard by the president?
I hope so.
Well, that was a long pause. I hope so. Well, we showed this earlier, is that the soybean market has pretty much cratered completely, because obviously China has been the big category of acquisition of soybeans. This puts pressure on the economy. This will start to roll over into other sectors of the economy that, of course, as we see a continuation of this, not only from the shutdown side, but also from the tariff side. So this, I think, still starts to put a lot of pressure on traders out there. Now, the question now is how long the government will shut down. If you look at Kalshi right now, it's holding out right now at 24 days or longer. As we get past the 15th, this gets pretty serious, because now we're getting into a scenario where there's a lot of government jobs that actually will be affected by this. Even if you look at Polymarket's lead position right now is 15 days or later, so that would be past October 15th into the latter half of the month. And this is the critical point that starts to make a big difference on the market in general. I'm going to go to another clip here, because this will get into why this shutdown affects the markets and the economy after the 15th of October. Take a look.
And there's a little bit of a pain point when you go into shutdown because of all the attention and so forth. But the first 15 days are usually politically pretty free. People technically are working without getting paid, but they weren't going to get paid today anyway. They weren't going to get paid until October 15th. That's the next pay period for federal workers. That's the next pain point. That's why I think this shutdown doesn't last much past the 15th, if at all. I think it probably wraps about the 11th, the 12th, or the 13th. Keep in mind, back in 2019, when we had that 35-day shutdown, the defense appropriation bill, the defense spending bill had been passed, so all the military got paid. It was a very different sort of pain point in Washington when it came to paying federal workers, because all the military was getting paid. That's not the case this year. So October 15th, most federal workers won't get paid, and that's when this really becomes real for most people and for politicians.
I think that's the key right here, guys. Let me know in the comments down below. You think we go to the 15th, and we're talking about mid next week for this to occur? Do we get a deal between the Republicans and the Democrats on this? I want to get into the gold topic, because this is a big issue. The first time we've ever hit 4,000. What does this look like going to 5,000 potentially? There's a lot of analysts that kind of go in that direction. Before we go in that direction, you got to look at iTrust Capital. iTrust Capital is now has premium custody accounts out there, which you guys can take advantage of through their crypto IRAs. One thing about iTrust, which is one of our channel partners, is you can actually do this around the gold and silver component right now in putting gold and silver as well as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other assets into your crypto IRA. Use our link. We always drop a link down below, but it is something that they have done in terms of making their premium custody accounts much more accessible. So check it out. Let's go to another point right here. Gold is jumping to an all-time high, now more than doubled over the last 2 years. Everybody is looking at this, and finally Peter Schiff is probably just shaking his head saying, I told you so. This is something he's been saying for quite some time, and you can kind of see the market and really where it's holding right now. The monthly RSI hits 91.5, marking its most overbought level on record. Not even 2001, 8, or 20 saw this. So is this a new era for gold? Is this something that we continue to see it skyrocketing, or does gold get a big retest here in general? Let me know what you guys think. If you think this, we are on our way to 5,000, because that would be significant for the markets in general. It's up 54% this year. Silver is up 69.7% this year. This is the crazy part right here, is that silver is starting to break loose. Could we be in the early stages of a silver breakout, similar to what happened around 2,500 for gold? Of course, gold now hitting $4,000. Let me go to a clip here, because this is kind of interesting in terms of silver availability. Take a look.
Australia, Africa, Canada, Vietnam, Costco, everything is gone. The Royal Canadian Mint is also sold out of almost everything. Out of stock in the UK now. Create stock alert. 1 kilo, 1 kilo. Again, more products. They are dry. Perth Mint is out of kilo bars. First reported shortages in Japan and China. Everything, everywhere, all at once. Unlike anything we have ever seen before. Due to stock availability, you are unable to purchase 10. Maximum is 3. That's because they've only got 3 left. And there they go. SD bullion. So this is the United States. 2,277 units available for purchase. Silver monster boxes are all sold out at Monument Metals here in the United States. This is not a drill. All the shares to short SLV are gone. Silver is on its way to Unobtanium this month.
Unobtanium, because this little gray rock sells for 20 million a kilo. It's what pays for your science. Comprendo?
All right, so having some fun there. Point being is that silver is on the move. Will we see a $50 silver? And do we end up seeing it bounce off that $50 mark? Because if it does, there may be some opportunities there to play this out. The other thing that's happening is just the awareness around this. And what I mean by that is this whole issue, I think, around how content creators are talking about this. TikTok has become a huge spot, because really, if you think about it, TikTok has been very big in crypto, but now silver is starting to take over on TikTok. Take a look.
Is this the sleeper of the year or what?
It doesn't get a lot of press. Like, not a lot of people are talking about the fact that it's trading that high.
There are only about 3 ounces of silver per person in the world today, and I know it sounds unbelievable. $1,000 can only get you 28 ounces of silver today at spot price.
All of these quarters were minted prior to 1965. 90% silver. These things were worth over $7.
They're a little bit more expensive than silver cards, which right now are actually really affordable. These are great for taking to a grocery store. In all the states where gold and silver are now legal tender.
Most people come straight up to the counter, and it's going to be absolutely crazy here. It scares the heck out of me. The people that are buying are longer term buyers. This time, I believe when silver breaks 50, it's truly going to go.
And the $50 level, there's a lot of bad omens around that.
When it starts to go up, we can taste 50.
In USM2, to take into account inflation, compared to the 2011 highs and compared to the 1980 Hunt Brothers manipulation highs, silver hasn't even started.
All right, so you can kind of see it there. It has a lot of correlation to the breakout period we saw in 2017, 2021 for crypto. Maybe not as dynamic, but I think what I'm about to show you might kind of take you in that direction. Take a look at this clip.
All this happened in one day? Like what? Are we already in the Unobtanium?
I'm going to do another 7-card pull. So it's been manipulated. This guy's really manipulating. Like this card lets go of something and they're searching for something higher. So I think they've let go of manipulating. And now there's some kind of infighting. You think it'll go to the all-time high and then keep going, but it could keep doing that little step back. This is a universal timing card. Interesting. And a lot of people are going to be disappointed, crying over spilt milk because they missed out on it.
All right, so just so we're clear, guys, I think that was a joke in the sense of tarot card reading on silver. I don't know if I've ever seen that with Bitcoin. But if there's one out there, let me know. Let's take a trip over to the stock market, because one of the things that did happen and also had some impact, I think, on crypto in general was the flash crash. And of course, we saw Oracle losing 100 million on NVIDIA chips. The stock market erased 49 billion in the Oracle stock. And this, of course, gets into this whole issue. Look at that. This whole issue right now of the overbought nature of how AI bubble may be in play. And remember, I've had a chance to talk to a lot of experts, and many people have kind of said, hey, there's going to be a point where the cost factor that's going to play into AI is going to be so great and so large. But on the counterpoint, a lot of experts are saying, no, not now. We're starting to see these models that are capable of utilizing chips at a much lower level, meaning down the road, NVIDIA could actually have a retracement. So that's the kind of impact you could see around this. So be very cautious in the AI side of things. Let's jump over to Bitcoin real quick, because Bitcoin futures open interest rose sharply. A lot of traders now adding longs during this. Remember, this has a lot of comparison to the 2021 cycle. It's about the same time of year. We saw the all-time high in November, and then of course from that, a lot of people got wrecked because they did not sell in that subsequent 60 days. And I think a lot of people almost have a little bit of PTSD from that, and it might be why you're seeing so much edginess and seeing these big little slice corrections that we've seen in the market, even around Bitcoin, where it did slice direction and then of course bounced off of like the 121 mark. So this is something that is hitting the market right now. Let me know how you guys are playing this out. Because right now, the S&P is up 34% in 6 months, and the move has only seen this 10 times previously since 1930. 10 times, all right? And 8 out of those 10 previous occurrences, the S&P 500 ended lower 2 weeks later with an average decline of around 3.5%, which is significant. So are we in for a pullback is the real question. And if a pullback does occur, will that have a major effect on Bitcoin and subsequently ETH and some of the key altcoins that are trailing in behind that? So this is a very intriguing time right now, guys. Now I want to go to a clip here, because this is something that kind of showcases the current market that we're in right now, because a lot of people have come from the depths of a $16,000 Bitcoin to where we're trading right now, or even $1,000 ETH to where we're trading right now. Take a look at this clip.
There are now 240,000 people with crypto holdings worth $1 million or more. That's according to a new report from Henley & Partners and New World Wealth. There are 450 crypto centimillionaires. Those are folks with $100 million or more in crypto, and 36 crypto billionaires. For every dollar gained in crypto wealth, crypto investors spend about 10 cents. So that would equate to about $200 billion in additional spending this year. With early crypto investors now getting up there in age, they're sort of in the 30s and 40s, buying Lambos has been replaced by real estate. A study found that locations with large crypto populations saw larger gains in home prices when there were crypto rallies.
Which is, are people essentially borrowing against their Bitcoin to buy these things, or they just kind of liquidate a piece of them? I'm sure there's no way to
Well, what was
generalize.
interesting in this research, that there seem to be two big buckets of crypto investors. There are the whales, the long-term holders that rarely sell, but when they do, it tends to be at market peaks. Right now, the sort of more diversified crypto traders, they're not selling right now because they see, sort of riffing off the Paul Tudor Jones comments, that we're about to see a big run-up before a sell-off eventually in crypto. They know there's going to be a cycle, but they feel like conditions are ripe right now for Bitcoin and crypto to go higher. All
right, so this is the kind of juxtaposition that we're in right now. You've got a variety of different camps considering, much like if you kind of consider where even Tom Lee has talked about on ETH, going anywhere between 12 and 15. You've got him also picking a 200K Bitcoin at the end of the year. We had Canary Capital talking about a 140 in October, Bitcoin, 140K. We've had many analysts that are kind of pointing this direction. People now also stretching into next year, 2026. So you can see that the froth is here. Are we seeing top signs is the real question. Now, the Fed is going to be a big part of this in the next few months. One of this, of course, is going to come at the end of this month. And who is going to be the big beneficiary of 2 more rate cuts? Well, Ethereum could be that. It could be the biggest winner because remember, ETH has not yet hit its previous market high. So this is an opportunity where ETH could really start to break out and kind of meet the destiny of what Tom Lee has been talking about. I don't know if we're looking at that because you see this massive sideways action right now in comparison to the Russell 2000 and Ethereum, almost the same thing. And if you look at some of the notes right here, interest rates drop, yield becomes even more attractive. That, of course, draws a lot of people in. The broader risk, of course, is gold surge, now over 4K. All of this could be prompting expectations of a pullback. And the event that could shift capital from defensive holdings into something like Ethereum. That pushes Ethereum up. Could we see gold play a part of ETH's surge to an all-time high and possibly maybe ETH going to 10K? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you're not part of the Diamond Circle, make sure and get on that. It is where I put out an email each week. It's the Barron Market Edge. I do a lot of things in there in terms of here's some picks I have. Here's why I think the market is going this direction. We put some additional research in there. It's free, so join down below. Follow me on X, @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on The Paul Barron Show.